Hey guys, so this is to walk you through the type of problem that you're about to see in this coformative. So you're going to have to answer a couple questions based on a table that's given to you guys. So in this table that I have, we are talking about the number of video games, which is our X value, and the cost, which is our Y value. So the first question says, find the constant of proportionality. Now to find the constant of proportionality, I have to use that ratio. I have to use y over x and make sure that all of my points give me the same number, which will be the constant of proportionality. If each ratio does not give me the same number, that means that this would not be proportional. So you can see in the table, I already circled our points. So now let's put all of those into our fractions. So my first point is 210, so my y is 10 over 2. Then I have 20 over 4, 30 over 6, 40 over 8, and last but not least, 50 over 10. So let's simplify those and see if they are equal. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 40 divided by 8 is 5. And 50 divided by 10 is 5. So all of our ratios, all of our fractions, they were equal, which means that the constant of proportionality is 5. So number 2 says graph and label the points and the axes. So we need to go to a graph. You guys are going to have that on GoFormative, and you're going to be able to use all those tools on the side. I have a separate graph here to graph all of these points. So first we have 210. I'm going to put my dot, but not only that, I have to label it. So I'm going to label it 210. Then I have 420. Label it 420. 630. I'm going to label it 840. And then our last one, which is 1050. So make sure that you plot and label all of your points, and your labels should be a coordinate point, which means parentheses, and a comma in between your X and Y value. So number 2 didn't just ask us to graph and label the points, it also asked us to label the axes. So I have my X and my Y axes. So based on our table, what should we label our X and Y axes? Well, our X represents the number of video games, and our Y represents the total cost. So on the X-axis, I'm gonna label it number video games, because that's what it represents. And then on the Y-axis, I'm going to label it cost. So now that my labels are on there, my points are on there, the axes are labeled, number 2 is done, and we can move on to number 3. Number 3 says plot and label the point for K. Well, K is the constant of proportionality, so on your GoFormative, it will actually say, plot and label the point for the constant of proportionality. And our constant of proportionality was 5. So to answer number 3 and plot that on the graph, I'm actually going to skip down to number 4. I want to talk to you guys about that coordinate point first. It says, what is the coordinate for that point for our constant of proportionality, which is 5? So remember, when we're looking for our constant of proportionality, we're doing y divided by x. So we did all of those points, and we got 5. Well, in order for this fraction to be equal to 5, I would have to put it over 1, because 5 divided by 1 gives me 5. That's the simplified fraction of all of these up here, 5 over 1. So what does that mean for our coordinate point? Well, a coordinate point is x, comma, y. So let's take a look at our ratio, which is y over x. the x value comes first in the coordinate point, which is 1. It's our denominator. And the y is our numerator, 5. So our coordinate point for our constant of proportionality is 1, 5. The coordinate point for a constant of proportionality is always going to be 1, the constant of proportionality, because that's what a constant of proportionality means. All right, so now that we have our coordinate point 1, 5, let's go to our graph and let's do number 3, plot and label the point. So we're going to go to 1 and 5, plot and label 1, 5. Before we end with question 5, here is our word, Missy. I chose Missy because that's my puppy's name, so fun little tidbit of information for you guys. All right, let's finish off this problem. The last question says, what does that point mean? So it's asking you, what does the point 1, 5 mean? Well, we talked about it, that it's x, y. So let's go back up to our table. What does our x mean and what does our y mean? Our x means the number of video games and our y means the cost. So our x means the number of video games and our y means the cost. So what this is saying is it costs $5 per, which means for, 1 video game. $5 for 1 video game. So just like your ratio, your y is going to come first. I could say 1 video game costs $5, but it makes a little more sense to me when I do y over x. Y over x. So hopefully that'll help you guys too. When I think of it as y over x, I think of $5 per, that's our fraction bar here, 1 video game is that x value. All right, hope this video helps. If you still have a question on the Go Formative, leave a comment.